I'm joined here today by the one, the only, a very high prospect in MMA, made his way over from the wrestling world. Richie Lewis set to fight Titan FC on the 18th of February. What's going on, sir? How are you?
I'm doing good, man. How are you? And actually, they just announced it today or yesterday. It's
Oh,
March 4th instead of February. We just found out. And I think that'll probably be the biggest adversity I face during this camp, and I think it's going to prepare me for the future, honestly. But I just wanted to throw that out there.
yes, please, because that takes away from the promotion. If people are tuning in February, it's not there. What happened? Did you guys get a reason or anything like that?
I think the venue that we were at, there was new management there, so I think Titan and the contract overlapping with the new year and stuff like that. I didn't get too many details, but I just know that they got new management, and then we were supposed to be booked at Florida Memorial University on the same day, which is not nearly as nice as a venue for an event like Titan FC, which is a premier promotion. So I think they decided to get a better venue, and now it's at the Hyatt Regency, still in downtown Brickell. It's a real nice hotel. So
So I assume for you that puts you kind of all over the place training camp wise. I mean, I know you had your opponent, your original opponent, fell out and stuff. So things must be all over the place at this point. You just kind of stay on weight and just hope the fight happens.
exactly, man. I was really ready to fight this kid, Jeremy Henry, just because he's had over 20, 30 between amateur kickboxing and amateur MMA fights. I think he's only lost twice on amateur between both, and he's fought for an IKF belt. So it would have, like, at least looked good for me to fight someone that was a pretty good fighter, and I would have been able to show off some of my striking skills against someone who is an accredited striker in some sense. So I was looking forward to that. I had a really good training camp. So my team ended up not telling me until like maybe 2 weeks ago, just because I was real focused, and it was my move to Sanford. I just have a lot going on. I just moved up to Coconut Creek, so they decided to keep me in the dark, and keep me moving. And then I actually go to practice, and I'm deloading, right? So I'm getting ready to peak, and this is on Thursday, which was yesterday, and I'm getting ready to just have a real light practice. And they're like, "Hey, man, your fight got pushed 2 weeks." So I'm like, "Looks like I'm banging it out today," And I've had a bit of an adrenaline dump, but they gave me the next 3 days off to kind of just to deal with it emotionally, and then get ready to peak again.
So what are you doing to PK gangs? I know a lot of people they mentioned just how important it is, and like just a tiny change can mess everything up for you. Like, how did you and your team kind of navigate that? Because it sounds like you're doing the right things, but that must have made it so complicated and frustrating too.
Yeah, so I think we take it day by day. So the first second I got the news, I made that quick change, had a hard practice, and then it kind of started to settle in, and that excitement and adrenaline kind of came down, and I felt it more today. So I communicated with my team about that, and then they kind of were just like, all right, take the next couple of days off, get your mind right, and get ready. I'm the type of athlete where I could perform really under any circumstances, just having so much experience in sports, not specifically MMA, but obviously in wrestling, that I do realize that things like this happen. And I also realize that I'm at a certain level in the sport, the regional, professional, whatever scene,
Yeah.
that this stuff is going to happen. People are going to
Yep.
back out fights. People are going to talk shit. I'm going to fight guys that have no professional debuts, and I'm going to fight guys that have 6, 7 more fights than me. And I'm really ready for whatever, man. I'm kind of just trying to continue fighting and get that experience, and especially the levels I'm jumping at it. It doesn't matter. It's more about cage time for me, and I look forward actually to the adversity. Like this guy that I'm fighting, Jason Russell, he's not going to be the best fighter, but this happening in my camp can simulate something in the UFC, like a short notice fight or a late opponent change, where now we know how to make these adjustments in camp, and we've dealt with these emotions before, so it makes it easier for me when it is on that big stage.
Tell me a little bit about that move to Sanford MMA. Obviously, like we know the gym is full of killers. Like I talked to Logan Storley earlier this week, and he was naming his training partner, and everyone there's fought for a UFC belt, top contender. It's crazy how much talent is there. Who are some of the people you've got to work with now? Even though it's still fairly new.
So I work a lot with Logan, mostly on our wrestling days. I've known Logan since I met Logan the first time when I was 18 at the University of Minnesota, actually, where he went to college. Um, I go with him a lot on the wrestling days mostly. And then striking, I try and get with like Jared Gordon, Sean Soriano. I try and do my Brazilian Jiu Jitsu with Jared Gordon. Those are probably my three main training partners that I train with at Sanford. And then we have a little group. Landry Ward, he fights for Combate. Angel Alvarez, he fights for Combate, both undefeated prospects. And those are the guys I do most of my technique with. And then I'm starting to get used to the schedule. I'm doing the H kickboxing on Mondays, so I'm still kind of getting the feel for it. But those guys that I just mentioned are the main guys that I work with when I'm working on my sparring or my technical development.
So does that make Henry Hooft your main coach, or is that still something you guys kind of have to figure out?
Yeah, I think that's something that we still have to figure out. I think that those guys took a real liking to me, and I think that I like those guys a lot, man. Especially Greg Jones, Henry Hooft, Cammy. I have my own little coaching that I came with. Dross Moscali Sados, he's been with me from the jump, and Dieter Navarro. We made the change together from Goat Shed. So those two guys are with me every single day. Specifically, Jerry, we do business together. He's my business manager as well. So they're with me every day, watching every practice. So even when these other guys are coaching me, they're looking at the film. Jerry will film my practice. We'll go over the practice after. After practice, I'm doing my work with Dieter, so I'm getting my pads in. I'm getting those little positional things. And the more that I'm there, the more that these guys like Greg Jones and Henry and Cammy are pulling me aside and coaching me and teaching me. For my first fight, I think I'm going to have Greg Jones and Sean Soriano in my corner. So.
How has it been adjusting to the gym? Like some fighters, it can take them forever to kind of finally figure things out. It sounds like for you, things are going pretty smoothly. But how's that process so far?
Yeah, so obviously I was a little nervous when I came in there, but I'm not extremely humble, but I know my way around. So I clicked with those guys real well, man. It's been a very easy transition. And when you work hard and you have talent, you don't have to say much, and these guys see that. So I think that they realize the prospect that I am, and they see the value that we have in each other's lives. And I think we're both, me and Sanford MMA as coaches are looking forward to the ride.
And so we know, like for the regional scene in MMA, the big thing is sometimes you can't find footage on your opponent. You fight a guy, you have no idea what his style is. Your opponents don't have that issue because I think it's very clear where you're the best at because we have been following you even before MMA with the wrestling stuff. Does that kind of make it tough for you to sort of hide the game because people already know what you're good at and they sort of have that inner he's going to take me down and stuff kind of mentality going into fights?
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of people have a misconstrued perception of fighting, right? So I like to think of like technique and how good people are in boxes, right? If someone has only felt a certain kind of wrestling, they're gonna say, "Oh, he's this good at wrestling, so I can stop this." They can only see within their box or their understanding of the sport. So I think people don't actually realize, number one, the feel that I have for wrestling, specifically MMA grappling, as it continues to develop. Just like I didn't have that understanding of striking when I did my first fight. My second fight, I thought I had a better grasp, and I did, but I still wasn't the best striker. I threw some good things, but I also had some times where I got caught. Um, so yeah, I think that people think that, but I don't really mind if they know what I'm good at, because not only am I good at wrestling, the reason I'm good at wrestling is because I'm crafty, I'm tricky, I'm intelligent, and I'm going to be applying those same things into striking, and I'm going to be applying those same things to where if they think they got something, I have something else up my sleeve, so I'm not too worried about it.
How has it been for you adjusting to the MMA grapplings? A lot of people, they look at it from like a simple standpoint, like you're a wrestler, therefore you understand the grappling, but you have so many things to worry about, like just the strikes and the submissions are a little bit different and everything. How's it been for you making that adjustment?
So some people know that, some people don't. I actually trained with John Donaher, Gary Tonin, Gordon Ryan,
Oof,
and all
killers.
those
Yeah.
dudes for about 3 years at Henzo Gracie Academy in New York City
Oh yeah.
while I was still wrestling. Um, I keep that one in my back pocket. People don't know that I'm actually decent
Oh
at
yeah.
jiu-jitsu. And now that I learned jiu-jitsu from those guys, translating it into MMA grappling is kind of what I'm have done over the past 3 months, specifically with Greg Jones and Cammy. Those two guys have helped me transition my wrestling into jiu-jitsu because I'd kind of be okay, wrestle to take you down and then do jiu-jitsu when I'm on top and stuff. And those guys kind of helped me blend it together. So I'm actually really excited to show off a little bit more of my technical savviness on the ground as well as in my striking.
How does that affect you as you're learning striking? Obviously, you have this part of your game that's elite with the wrestling, the grappling, and all that stuff, and you train with those killers in New York. But how is it for you adjusting to the striking because that's not your area where you're best, and you have that ace in the hole. Is it tough to stay focused on the striking?
It's not tough at all because I don't my metric for greatness is not uh, this next fight or getting to the UFC or becoming a UFC champion, right? It's perfecting myself and becoming the best version of myself. So I'm very, very tactical, and I knew that this first year the most important thing to do was going to be focused on my striking. So that's really the main thing that I focused on. And I still continue to focus on it because I want to be a very well-rounded fighter. I think I'm going to be a new generation of fighter. To be honest, you've seen Habib begin to do it with his grappling, how he changed the game, or Izzy, how he changed the game with his striking. And I want to go in there and I want to be able to knock dudes out and be a world champion level striker and be a world champion level grappler. So, yeah, my focus has been on striking, but uh, it doesn't deter, man. The game plan that I have is solid, and I have the best team around me. Like I said, imagine you got Henry Hooft, Greg Jones, Cammy, like I said. So I have these guys coaching me every day, and then I got Sean Soriano, who's also been mentoring me and coaching me. And then I have Dieter Navarro and Gerasimo's breaking down every moment of my practice, every moment of my lifting. So these guys come to lifts with me. These guys come to training with me. Jerry comes to my sports rehab, to my massages. He's filming all my practices and seeing exactly how I'm doing and fixing very little things in my training that I might not be able to see. And I'm very, proprioceptive to keen and small fixes in my body, and I'm able to make those adjustments. And then when I have someone else telling me that, I'm able to do it even more so. And I'm just so grateful. I have the best team and I have the best camp, and the world's gonna see it soon.
Obviously, you're still young in your career, set to go for your third professional fight. But when the day comes when you do hang up the gloves from MMA, I don't know how old you'll be, maybe 36, 45, whatever crazy age
Oh,
it
I
is.
got the
But
game plan, dog. I got the
yeah,
game plan. I can spill some of it, but
yeah, well, I don't want you to reveal everything. My question, though, is when you sit down and do that big press conference, when you retire, what do you hope to have achieved? Like, what do you hope people are asking you about? And when they're playing the highlights on the screen, like, what are you kind of hoping for?
um, so I want to enter the sport like a fucking train wreck, and I want to leave gracefully. Um, a big mission in my life uh, is God. A big reason that I fight is to help other people and help my family and create generational wealth, to inspire others, but to share the message of God, just like Habib. If you watch all the top level athletes, man, I know I don't speak a lot about it a lot now because I don't think my platform is as effective as it could be. But if you notice, after every fight, if you watch any of my wrestling matches, I always thank God. I look up to the sky, and yeah, would when at the end of my career, the thing that I'm gonna say is God gave this to me, and God can take it all away, and I appreciate Him for it, and spreading His word, and showing people that they can live a life through God, and the only way that this is possible is through Him.
I want to get back to your fight a little bit, man. When you're at this level, like, and obviously you're training with absolute killers, how much are you focusing on your opponent, and how much of it is just you're going to focus on yourself and what you do best?
Yeah, we just focus on development right now. I think when we start to get to higher level fights, we'll begin to focus on techniques and tactics, etc. But I think the level athlete that I am and the level of athlete that I'm fighting is just not too sound like an asshole, but it's not too comparable right now. And I think that these guys, I'm just gonna go in there, put on a show, get out, and continue to develop in the gym. I know none of these guys are gonna hit me with anything that these my training partners are. So.
What kind of fight are you expecting out there when the fight finally comes around in March? Unless it gets pushed back more and you get 15 more opponents.
I'm gonna knock this dude out, man. I think this is gonna be my first knockout, my first clean knockout.
What would happen with your teammates in the gym if you do get that clean knockout as a wrestler? Like I assume everyone would just go crazy if you make that happen.
At the gym, to be honest, I think everyone knows and everyone can see it, and I think they're excited for it, and we're just ready to see how it unfolds, man. You know, that's the best part is you don't know what's gonna happen.
All right, man. One last question for you, kind of a two-part thing, but you mentioned a little bit how you see yourself getting the job done. But tell us one more time, when is the fight taking place? Because it sounds like it's a little bit confusing. When is it taking place, and what can we look forward to in this fight?
March 4th, and you can look forward to me getting my first knockout.
All right, man. We look forward to it. Big things. Thank you so much for the time, sir. I really appreciate it.
All right, Lucas, you have a good